It don't intimidate us anymore. Yeah. We just go about our business. And yesterday was that.
And I look forward today we can play Eze, Odegaard and Saka behind the forward. And then no one's going to be calling us negative then.
There's lots of people out there that want him to fail.
Of course.
They really want him to fail. But I just look at it and I'm like, in this team, with the three behind that you two have just mentioned, I just can't see him failing.
Now, the fact they won it 90+6, is this the year you believe Arsenal can win the league?
This time.
Yes. Getting that deal sorted, absolutely huge. It's up there with getting Saka on a new deal. It's equally as important for me.
The ages of players like Timber, Saliba, Saka, these are 24-year-olds. We're not going anywhere.
Hello, I'm Darren Bent and welcome to Inside Gooners, sponsored by talkSPORT Bet. We've got a huge show for you today after a massive win up at Newcastle. And here to dissect every key moment is Clive Palmer and Nick Bright. But before we get stuck into all the action, new talkSPORT Bet customers get an exclusive offer of £40 in free bets when you bet £10. Go to talksportbet.com, Inside Gooners, to claim the offer now. Gentlemen, Nick and Clive, thank you for joining me as always. First and foremost, the result, the performance, Newcastle. A lot of people would have looked at that fixture and said, Arsenal, they're not getting anything there. Clive, what a performance and what a result.
Yeah, and I was one of those lot of people. I was we all worried about it, weren't we? Because we've got recent memories that have not been great at St James's Park. But when the game starts and that ball starts moving around, you sort of sit forward in your seat thinking, hey, we're looking quite good here, aren't we? So very tough place to go. We all saw the fixtures from the summer coming out. Going to Old Trafford, going to Anfield, going to Newcastle, it was tough, right? So to come out of it sort of fairly unscathed is really positive, really positive.
What did you think, Nick? I mean, the performance I thought was outstanding from start to finish, as Clive said there, the way they started moving the ball. I mean, early on in the game, did you think, do you know what, this is going to be our time?
Yeah, I mean, the first 15 minutes, a lot of people are saying that it's the best they've seen us play this season. We looked unbelievable. Eze was dictating in there. He played really well in the 10. I'm sure we'll speak about Eberechi Eze in more detail in a bit. But just from start to finish, I thought the team deserved it. We dominated Newcastle. If you, like Clive alluded to, recent history there, we've struggled. Yeah. They beat us in the Carabao there. They beat us in the league last season. They beat us in the league the season before that. But in those games, we didn't play very well. The difference is this game, we dominated from start to finish and completely deserved it.
Do you think it comes down to, and again, we'll probably touch on it a bit later on, a lot's been made of the depth, so we will get to that. But do you think the fact now Mikel Arteta went up to Newcastle, he had options? I mean, I can't lie, the Manchester City game, the starting 11, I wasn't particularly happy with. There was a few players I would like to have seen start that didn't. But I almost felt like in this game, he got it almost spot on. There's still maybe one position I wasn't quite sure about, that left-hand side. But do you think he got the team selection right, Clive?
I think he did, but more importantly, I think he got the tactics right.
Yeah.
I think he's changed how we play, and we're starting to see it now develop. I think when we go to Newcastle, what normally happens, we play about at the back a little bit, and we go to Saka. They run over there and just smash him into the
yeah.
right? So and tell him to get up. And so it becomes quite a physical game because they know where we're going. Right? And I think in this game, what we did a little bit more is we played a much more narrow system. We Trossard inside, Saka more inside to get closer to Gyökeres, which meant we actually attacked their strength, their midfield three, and we put a ring around them and started to move them around. So in your eyes now, remember all those one-touch passes that were happening?
Yeah.
What happens in football when you've got good proximity? What happens? You move it quicker, don't you? You move it quicker, and we moved them around, got in behind them, and I thought Mikel Arteta changed how we play, and they weren't expecting it. And we should have been 2 up. Maybe, and that's being kind in the first half. To not get the reward for a tactical change, I thought was unlucky for him. So I think now we've added some real diversity to how we play. And honestly, what I'm watching at the moment is really encouraging. The rotations and what we're doing differently, Saka's positions, Trossard's positions, Eze's position, it's really positive, it really is.
It's amazing you said that about the start, Clive, because Joe Linton tried to kick Saka early on, didn't he? He tried to get him early on, and I thought, hold a second here. But it almost felt like they saw that happen and it didn't work, and then they were like, oh, so we no longer can intimidate him anymore. And I think not only are Arsenal, I think, in a better place in terms of the depth, they've gone back to big physical presences. I mean, they've got some big guys in the squad, Gabriel, Saliba, obviously Declan Rice as well, Gyökeres up front. It almost felt like Arsenal weren't intimidated by this performance.
Yeah, like I think you've hit the nail on the head there. Mikel Arteta loves a big player.
Yeah,
it's so funny because for years under Arsene Wenger, we were so used to kind of small, tricky, players, and now Mikel Arteta's come in, and we've still got that sprinkle of magic within the squad, especially with Eze signing Ødegaard as well, but. It's big guys. It's people that won't be bullied. Like you said, Gyökeres, Gabriel, Saliba, Mosquera comes in under that category as well. I would say Mikel Merino fits the bill there as well. One of the most prolific strikers in the league, it would seem. You know what I mean? But I love the fact that we can go to places like St James's Park where traditionally we have been bullied, and they still try to, because I truly believe that Newcastle they're allowed to play a certain way at St James's Park. The refs allow them to get away with a little bit more because of the crowd and all of that. But it don't intimidate us anymore. Yeah. We just go about our business. And yesterday was that.
Well, do you know what, right? And we'll get to the decisions, by the way, that I'm still a bit annoyed about. Maybe we got away with one, maybe we didn't, but we'll speak about that in a minute. But I think what was impressive was that we saw what happened the day before with the Crystal Palace result against Liverpool, where Palace are probably the most informed team, one of the most informed teams in Europe, you'd have to say, unbeaten in 18. Usually Arsenal maybe would, in previous seasons, panic when they've got the job to do to get that result after Liverpool drop points. Was that refreshing to see, I'll ask you both, to see Arsenal react and not panic and go, do you know what, it doesn't matter what happened the day before, we're in a better place now to kind of handle these type of situations?
Yeah, I think so. I think there's been a lot of stuff about us being negative. My personal opinion is, I think the three teams, Arsenal, City and Liverpool, were cautious with each other.
Yeah.
They were looking at each other. It's September. Let's not show everything we have. Let's see how the game transpires. But as we're deemed as the challenger that hasn't won the trophy in a long time, the onus is on us to be more attacking for some reason, but it's what it is. But I think in this game, I think we decided to take on the game a little bit more. And I think there was the top 3 games and then there's other games. And we took it on with a different strategy. And I think it's so important for all our mentalities that to build trust within our fan base and the external world, you have to take the opportunity when Liverpool give you one. You can't lose that game. Because people say, they're not serious, they're not good at it. Same as last year, So yeah, I thought it's majorly important for us and our belief and the players' belief going forward.
It's interesting what you're saying there, Clive, because there's this narrative around Arsenal that we have been negative and all of that. And some people may argue that team selections in some of those games might reflect that. But the only game that I feel like, I don't want to use the word dominated, but the only game where we haven't dominated was probably Manchester United, first game of the season. Every other game, we dominated Manchester City. Pep Guardiola was bringing on defenders for attackers. When does he do that? You know what I mean? So I feel like people say it online and kind of on shows like this and it kind of snowballs into something bigger. But actually, we're just going about our business and doing our job. Old Trafford, first game of the season, that's always going to be tricky. It's a hard place to go. The atmosphere's up. We don't know where they are as a team. We don't know where we are because it's the first game of the season. But we got through that, 1-0 win, and then we've just kicked on from there.
Yeah, I thought Arsenal again were outstanding. I thought there were a number of fantastic performances. I thought one person I do want to touch on is Eze, because we obviously know how he got to Arsenal. We don't know if we would have signed him if Havertz hadn't gone down, but we got him anyway. What have you made his performance, not only in the game against Newcastle, where I thought he was outstanding, but in terms of the whole time he's been at Arsenal? Yeah,
I think he's warming into it. Yeah. I think his first touch is a bit
beautiful,
ridiculous.
And you can give it to him in any scenario as well.
Remember that first shot? You popped it up to his left foot so he could walk onto it. I mean, that's not an accident.
No.
And so his first touch is good. And other players see that, don't they, Darren? So they step away and it gives him the time. He can stop and start you can move it. And I think he's getting into the rhythm of us. And he's almost bringing his own rhythm to our play. Yeah. But the key thing with him, particularly in this game, because when he plays left, I like him on the left as well. I've got no problems being on the left. And I look forward today we can play we can play Eze, Ødegaard and Saka behind the forward. And then no one's going to be calling us negative then, are they, right? So, and they're all going to move and rotate around each other. So I look forward to that day. But I do think the way he holds that central position, maybe we could be critiqued of that, because Ødegaard empties that position. He stays in there, stays close to Gyökeres, and the shots he's getting were just great, weren't they? So I like him.
I've got a question for you, actually. You're the only one here, unfortunately for me and Clive, who's played the game at a high level anyway. Unless Clive's thinking something to himself.
No. Don't check my records.
But who would you prefer to be playing in front of? As the number 9, would you prefer Eberechi Eze behind or Martin Ødegaard?
Well, I think it's a difficult one because I like Gyökeres and I think his movement is good, but it's going to take a bit of time to kind of get them patterns of play and how certain players play with each other. But it's a hard one because I still don't think Ødegaard's been the Ødegaard we know for a little while now. Now, I don't know if the ankle's still bothering him, but he still, for me, looks a little bit tentative in terms of certain positions he takes up on the pitch, whether to shoot or whether to pass it. But I do quite like the idea of Eze coming in off the line off the left, Ødegaard just behind you, and then Saka coming in from the right.
What Clive said, you want all three.
Because you've got all three there that can all see a pass, can all manipulate the ball and do something themselves, and are not afraid to try something.
Yeah.
I do think sometimes if you've got a Martinelli on the left, and I love Martinelli, I'm one of his biggest fans, I get it. Some Arsenal fans are maybe, I've turned him a little bit, I've always stuck by him. He can be a little bit, you don't know what you're getting if you're a centre forward, because is he going to go to the byline and cross it? Is he going to cut back? Is he going to try and shoot? And it's almost hard to kind of get the timing of your movement when you play with players like that. But the fact that you've got the Eze that can play off the left and Ødegaard, when he gets back to full fitness, and Saka, they would be my preferred options in those positions. And even speaking of Gyökeres, obviously he played at the weekend. I thought he looked quite good against Newcastle. I thought his movement was good. He was strong. He held the ball up well. What did you make of his performance?
Yeah, I think a little bit like Eze, he's kind of growing into it a bit, isn't he? But I do think in a big game, because, like we've been saying, we played Manchester City, we've played Liverpool, we played United. Against a big team, this was probably his best performance, I think. Yeah. Even though he didn't get on the score sheet, he played very, very well. He was a nuisance. It was a battle at the back as well at Newcastle. Probably, if you look at the teams in the Premier League, Newcastle are probably a team that can rival us in terms of size, right, and physicality. So I think the fact that this is only his, 5th game, 6th game? How many in are we now? Something like that. I think he's adapting quite well. And when he finds his feet, I'm a firm believer that, he's going to be banging in loads of goals for us. I really do. I know there's lots of people out there that want him to fail.
Of course.
They really want him to fail. But I just look at it and I'm like, in this team, with the 3 behind that you two have just mentioned, I just can't see him failing.
No, what do you think of?
Right. I loved him in this game. And there's a reason why people can't gang up on Noni Madueke and Saka, because he's attracting centre-backs to him. Yeah. And Newcastle centre-backs are classics. They want to fight with you. Yeah. They were taking turns to get him. That's no problem, right? So, but that's 2 centre-backs out of the way that he's pinning, which is going to leave room for somebody else in those spaces to run through. I thought the one period of the season where I felt we missed, say, a Havertz, for example, Liverpool went man-to-man in the second half and they knew he was fading out and they could go man-to-man on him. I thought, but every other team has played 2 against him, and I think that's so important for the spaces elsewhere. He had 6 shots in this game, and I thought that's his best game. That's the one that's encouraged me the most, that we got something here.
Speaking of his movement, let's get to the decision.
Yeah, I knew this was coming.
Because, do you know what I liked about it? The anticipation. Because some strikers don't read that. Some strikers would let it go back to the goalkeeper, Pope clears it, they get up. Yeah. But the fact he almost saw what was going to happen next, I think was important. For me, it's a penalty. It's a stone wall. I don't care if Nick Pope gets his foot on the ball. My opinion is he has stopped Gyökeres tapping the ball into an empty net. So I thought it was a penalty. Clive, what do you think?
I thought it was a penalty, and sometimes that overcomplicate things in football. Your eyes tell you what it is, right? So when you see a striker running with the goalkeeper and the striker diverted to the side and it was a knee-to-knee collision, you can decide what you prioritise. In the football that I've watched, you prioritise that collision. Yeah. That's what, you don't prioritise anything else. No. You don't. I don't think just because you got a touch, Pope got a touch, I don't think that's enough. I don't want to hear this thing about forward movement. I'm not interested in it. It's about what football looks like to you, right, as a human. And he got there first, diverted it and was taken out. So why bring in complications? You bring in complications, you bring in suspicion for me. There's no need for it. And so, and of course, we're all triggered, right? We're at Newcastle. We're thinking, here we go again, right? The same old story. But in the end, it doesn't matter. But I like the way Arteta approached it. He didn't really focus on the decision. He focused on the process. Did VAR need to be involved in that? And I don't think they needed to be. It should have been a straight penalty. Let's move on and deal with it afterwards. So. Yeah.
I mean, I'm in agreement. Look, it's not a significant touch from Pope, is it? No. Like it's a brush on the ball at most. For me, if he doesn't clatter Gyökeres goes through and taps it in, like you just said. So, I feel like we were hard done by then. And I don't know about you two, but I just knew when we didn't get that decision, I knew that they would go 1-0 up. I just felt it, because that's the kind of stuff that happens to us. But I didn't fear it. Even when they went 1-0 up, I was obviously gutted, because I feel like it was against the run of play. But I just believe in this team so much, and the amount of goals we've got in this team and who can score them and all of that. That I just felt like we'd be able to come back. I didn't think we'd leave it as late as we did, but we did it and we got the 3 points. And like Clive said, it doesn't matter in the grand scheme of things, but it is annoying, because I wanted Gyökeres to get the decision, because I wanted him to take the penalty.
Of course.
I wanted him to score in a big game and shut up all the critics.
Would you know, it looked like he was going to take it, because I don't know if you saw it, but Saka had the ball and he almost pointed to Gyökeres and went, "You take it," just to kind of take the pressure off him. So, I thought it was a penalty. What about the other end then, the handball? A lot's been made of that. It should have been a handball. I understand where some people are coming from, because we have seen penalties given a lot less than that. Mm-hmm. Did you think it was a penalty, the handball?
The Gabriel one.
The Gabriel one, where his arms...
So when he slid in, we were out of position at that point. We didn't have Lepak on the pitch, really. And so he's gone over. I'm thinking, mate, just get there. Slide tackle him, which he did, and he won the ball. And the ball went skidded up and hit his arm. When you're sliding, that position is pretty natural, right? So now this is where VAR did help out, because you see the deflection, thank goodness, right? And the rules are there to say if it deflects up into your hand, it's not handball. Now, without VAR, then maybe the referee decides to give it because the arm's up.
Oh, and also the crowd would have screamed, he would have given it.
And he would have given it, and then you've got to say to yourself, oh no, it's slipped away again. So, in some ways, VAR didn't help us on the penalty. You got involved and you should have done. But in this case, because they looked at it, they did look at it correctly. So I'm happy with that decision.
Yeah. It's so hard to call.
I bet you're happy with the decision.
We all are.
Do I just say that out loud?
It's so hard to call it, though, because it was a 50-50, wasn't it, really? If I'm looking at that, like, obviously I'm glad it wasn't given. That's a gimme when I'm sitting on Inside Gooners. But if it was given, I wouldn't be surprised, if you know what I mean, because the hand is so high. If that's down the other end, three of us in this room are absolutely screaming for it.
Yes,
let's be honest. So look, I know Newcastle fans will probably be a little bit upset, but that's the way it goes. There'll be decisions that go against us, loads of them probably, as there always is as the season goes on. It's a 50-50, and thankfully it went our way. And then the same man, in a bit of twist of fate, goes down the other end and wins the game.
Yeah. I mean, as you said there, for him to win the game, and let me give you a bit of context to the game, because we all agree Arsenal were outstanding.
Yep.
20 shots to 8 in Arsenal's favour, 7 on target to 3, 64% possession. I mean, that's domination from Arsenal. Now, the fact they won it 90+6, when Liverpool have been doing this all season, people have said that's the sign of champions.
Yep.
Now Arsenal have gone to a tough place, like Newcastle, and done that. Where do you now then, I'll come to you first, Nick, put them in terms of title credentials? Is this the year you believe Arsenal can win the league?
I mean, call me an optimist.
That's why I went to Nick.
I've been believing it for the last 2 seasons at least. Do you know what I mean? Like last year was such a gut punch, I think, because the 2 previous second place finishes, Manchester City won it, and then for Liverpool to just sneak in through the back door and kind of take it away from us really kind of hurt. But I look at this team now and I look at this squad now, and I think we have all the credentials. One of the main things that stopped us last season was injuries, for sure. And now we have addressed that. The manager's been backed by the hierarchy, which is great to see. And we've got quality players in every position, as well as backups in those positions as well. So look, I believe it. If you'd have said, with the start that we were given to this season, away at Liverpool, away at United, away at Newcastle, City coming to the Emirates, if you'd have said that we'd only be 2 points behind Liverpool after that run, I'd have taken it, because they're going to have a tough run.
Yeah. What do you think, Clive?
I think I went to the...
Come on, Clive! We're going to win it!
Yeah, well, I thought you could win it for the last 10 years.
Yeah.
But I went to the Forest home game and I thought we were brilliant.
Outstanding, yeah.
And it just really stuck with me, the focus and the attention to detail. And I could just see the intensity. I'm thinking, crikey, these guys really want it. So it's almost like, forget what I want, because we all want the same things. Do the players believe, and are they playing like that? And I thought they were. I think the Eze thing, that day when he came out, sort of was really, really nice. It was a nice day, right? And I thought, this club is really trying, and that's all you want. You want them to try and give them the best tools. I think we were speaking earlier, weren't we, that there are 9 teams out of 20 in Europe this season. And I think over time, the approach we've taken to go for depth over star quality, I think that approach may start to manifest over Christmas time and into next year. And the key for me is to be fit and in condition for April and May when the medals are handed out. Because I don't think we've been in the right condition in the last 3 years in those periods. No. I don't think we've been able to manage the games, manage the Champions League and the league at the same time.
Playing players too many minutes.
Yeah. And you can see they're injured, they're out there. Saka was injured at Real Madrid and he's still out there. And so I think to get people, and PSG did last year, their team towards the end of the season was, you can name it now, and it was always there, wasn't it? And so I think that's what we're aiming for with our depth approach, and I really like it. So this time.
Is this the deepest Arsenal squad you think we've ever had?
I can't think of one deeper, right? I think the game's changed, right? Even though we won in 2004, the game's changed. I think the amount of kilometres covered. I've never seen a squad like it. In fact, there was a couple of players that Ethan Manieri didn't get in the squad at the weekend, and there's no Havertz, no Hincapié, and so there's going to be a few people in street clothes there when we're all fit, right? And so how you manage that squad and keep them all active and engaged is going to be really important.
Well, someone who looks like they are going to be here for the long term is William Saliba, signing that new contract till 2030. I'm sure he's on a nice bumper salary. I mean, what are your thoughts on that? I mean, we had Miles Lewis-Skelly signed his new contract, Ethan Nwaneri, which I thought was really important for those two young kids to sign new contracts. Where are you on the Saliba one? Because he is one of the best centre-halves in the world.
Yeah, mate, paramount for me. Getting that deal sorted, absolutely huge. It's up there with getting Saka on a new deal. It's equally as important for me because he's so assured at the back. I love what we have at the back now in terms of, we've got like classical music in Saliba, and then we've got like rock and roll in Gabriel, or heavy metal or whatever, because it's like but their styles complement each other perfectly. So William Saliba getting tied down to that new deal, really important. The video that Arsenal put out was really nice as well. I don't know if either of you two have seen it. It's kind of fans just talking about what he brings to the team and how much they love him, and he's in the kind of cinema room watching it. And again, we get to see the photo of him as a kid wearing the Arsenal shirt, and he spoke about that as well, like how people in his town where he grew up, they kind of followed Barcelona, they followed Real Madrid, and there's a line where he goes, "But not me, I was a real one," and it's like, I love that, I love the way he celebrates. I love everything about the guy. I just think he conducts himself in such a classy manner on the pitch, but also he can do the dirty stuff well. Like, he got a pre-assist for that Gabriel winner, in my opinion, by impeding Nick Pope. So, I'm so glad he signed, and, long may that continue.
What do you think, Clive? Saliba, one of the best in the world?
Yeah, definitely. And the game has moved towards ball-playing centre-backs now. Everyone's building out from the back. First pass to your centre-back, they've got to look after it. They can't kick it into the seats anymore, and then get up, get after it. And so he looks after it, and I think his introduction at the weekend to get us moving and with his distribution was really important. So, he has the most touches, most passes. So he's critical. He's almost like a central centre-back in our system. So, and he's only 24. It's what people keep... I know we haven't won the league yet, and I know the comments are going to say, deluded Arsenal fans are doing this again. However, what I will say is the ages of players like Timber, Saliba, Saka, these are 24-year-olds. We're not going anywhere. The youngsters coming in. So, so we've now got him signed up for the next 4 or 5 years, and this will continue. So we're going to be in the room for a while now.
We touched on it earlier about the team selection and the way that Arsenal are starting games now on the front foot. And it might be a little bit unfair, but I think people have looked at the Trossard position and saying they can't understand why is Eze not starting there? Why is Martinelli not starting there? Clive, does it make sense to you why it's Trossard in that position? And do you like the way that Arsenal's starting on that front foot?
I think if Odegaard comes back, that might change. However, if you're using him there, what is his role going to be? And I think I don't like it all the time when he rolls inside and he's facing his own goal. I've just got Bournemouth in my mind, right? But I do like the fact he combines really nicely and he can finish, So there is a rotation with him and Wright and Calafiori for definite. And so at the moment in time, Odegaard isn't here, Havertz isn't here. And we're having discussions about how we're playing. But we're not petrified, are we? No. And there was a period without those two, we wouldn't have a lot, And but then, Odegaard came in and did really well in this game. So I think I'm not looking to pick the team now. I'm looking to see how we play.
Yeah.
I think the approach was really good. And then if the approach suits the personnel, that's all I look for really when I'm looking. I know other people, I looked at the team sheet before City and went, there's one short there, you know? And you've got to be honest with yourself. But we made the adjustments at half time. But I don't mind what he's doing at the moment, as long as we're winning.
What do you think, Nick?
Yeah, it's funny, isn't it? Like, I feel the start to the season has been so good in terms of where we are and you know, as already mentioned, the games have been really tough and we're only 2 points off the top. But like, we're still micro-analysing one position on the pitch. That's like kind of how, I don't know how deeply we look at the game now, I guess. But yeah, that left-hand side's an interesting one because we've got options there and that's the key for me.
Yeah.
The fact that we have options now and we can cater who plays there depending on the opposition. So, you know, Trossard will play there against certain teams. Martinelli will play there against other teams that maybe don't have pace at the back because we know Martinelli can stretch that. And then Eze can play there as well. So I'm just happy that we have that key word, options, because for a long time we haven't had it there. And the fact that we got 3 quality players as well that can play in that position, who all bring different things to the table, I'm loving it.
Someone who's turned into a key component for Arsenal as well is Mikel Merino.
Oh,
now,
mate.
we've not spoke about his goal. I mean, I watched him for Spain, I think it was last month, score a hat-trick against Turkey, and what a hat-trick it was. He always seems to pop up. When Arsenal needs somebody, he always seems to be there, whether it's club or country. His header, I mean, not a lot's been spoken about the header because it is fantastic. He's almost behind him and he manages to generate power into that far corner. How important is he going to be, not just as a starter, but an impact player come off the bench, Clive?
I think he's a hugely important player. Ever since January when he sort of went to centre forward and we were desperate, I thought he had a massive role in our season last year. I think the debate comes because I think we are also trying to work out what he is, right? So he almost epitomises in some way when we signed him, should we have gone for someone more attacking? And so he's come in, he started slowly, but it eventually became a critical part of the team without having a place in the team.
Yeah.
So I think his best time came as a 9. Against Forest, he played as an 8. When he plays as a 10, I think everyone's thinking, hold on a minute. Yeah. We've just signed someone for that role. And I think the debate has now changed because of what we're trying to do, which is add depth. So as a finisher and a last pass player, his technique is superb.
Lovely.
It is perfection. You know, honestly, that I don't know what he is, but when he's in that area and his heart rate just drops and it's just like, oh my God, that's the exact finish that you would expect.
Yeah.
Where does that come from, you know? So yeah, I think he's an interesting player. Again, it's about using him appropriately, you know? Against City, maybe it's the wrong player to start the game, so they got him out. Against Newcastle, they're pushed back, we bring him on, and it was the right player for that game, you know? I think that's the key for him.
Yeah, I mean, the header was, the placement was perfect, wasn't it?
Yeah.
Do you know what I mean?
Because it had to be that way.
Yeah.
Nick Pope, to be fair, was saving everything.
He had a blinder. Let's look. Nick Pope, up until that point, was probably man of the match. Do you know what I mean? So, you know, the header was absolutely perfect placement, and it's just what Mikel Merino does. I don't know what it is about this player. I don't know what it is about him, but his role within the squad, even though he's not necessarily starting every game, he's proving his value as the seasons have gone on. You know, last season, like Clive said, playing at number 9, we were ridiculed for it. Let's remember, when it was announced that Mikel Arteta was going to play Moreno as a 9, everyone was laughing about it. Oh, well, that's Arsenal finished, blah, blah, blah. And then he was scoring, I can't quite remember the numbers, but the rate at which he was scoring, he was keeping up with top strikers in the European leagues.
Well,
do you know what I mean?
I was winding up United fans talking about him scoring more goals than Højlund.
So yeah, a great player, and yeah, he the thing that I like about him, you know, as well as what he's doing on the pitch, is he just gets on with his business. You know, there's no issues, there's no kind of when he's on the bench. Yeah, it's like he just does what he does. Do you know what I mean? And I love that.
No, I think he's going to be. I think he's going to be one of those players where I'm not going to say in the same kind of vein like Wiltord, but you know how Wiltord used to come on and have that impact, and then he'd sometimes he'd start and have he'd come off the bench. I just feel like Mikel Merino you know what you're going to get from him. You're not going to get a 10 like all the time, but I think you're always going to get a steady 7, and you're always going to get a moment from him where, as you said, Clive, he has to go ice cold, and it might be a finish, and he'll just finish it off.
Yeah, he's the sort of player, right? End of season he gets Manager's Player of the Year.
Yeah. No one wants that, but...
Well, because he takes on messages, he's intelligent, and the teammates appreciate him, and he digs the manager out of holes.
Yeah.
So that's why he gets that award, right? So I think I'm still learning about him, and we've watched him a lot. So I just think this squad needs him.
Yeah.
Without a doubt, it needs him. Declan Rice can't play every single game, even though not at the pace that he's playing a particular weekend. So we need him to take some miles out of his legs, but also potentially to be in the centre forward rotation with no Havertz. So we need him.
All right, so we've got obviously Olympiacos coming up next, Champions League, and then West Ham. We'll speak about West Ham in a minute. New manager bounce, which we hope doesn't happen. Clive, Olympiacos, team selection for Arsenal, what do you think? Do you want to go strong again, or do you think it'll make 1 or 2 changes?
I think it'll make a few changes. I think, again, I tend not to focus too much on the starting 11. I get critiqued for saying that. With 5 subs now, it's important, but it's not everything. You know, I think spotting the adjustments required are really more important, in my opinion. But there's a chance to get some minutes into other players. Odegaard needs some. I think Ethan Wanyeri, unfortunate not to be in the squad at the weekend, he needs to get some minutes. I thought Miles did really well when he came on in that scenario. I'd like to see him get a bit of game time as well. And Jurrien Timber, despite being absolutely fantastic and close to being man of the match, I need him on his backside against Olympiacos, because I don't want to see him injured, you know. So Ben White needs the minute. So there's opportunity to have a few people on the bench to get them starts, because I think obviously West Ham is very important.
What do you think, Nick?
You've not even mentioned, the likes of Christian Norgard as well. Do you know what I mean? To go back to what we were talking about earlier, the depth is a fantastic thing to have. But I'm in agreement with Clive. We're probably going to see rotation in this game. Mikel Arteta has not hid away from the fact that there is going to be a lot more rotation this season. Because there was a point when I was doing the games at the Emirates 2 seasons ago, there was a point where it was like the team news gets released and we have to do kind of like 10 minutes of talking about the team. But the team was the same every single game. So it's like you could pick it before we got it. So, there's going to be, a little bit of rotation, I think. But I do think we will still see some of those heavy hitters out there. I expect to see Saka start.
Yeah, maybe.
Yeah. I expect to see, he doesn't like dropping Gabriel. I expect to see Gabriel start out there.
Gyökeres, definitely.
Well,
I'm always quite, because obviously being someone who played that position, I'd want to play as many games as possible because I need to get that repetition of hitting the back of the net.
But pros are just like that, though, aren't they? You want to play every game.
Yeah, but especially in that position, because you're just thinking, right, he scored 3 goals already this season. I thought his performance against Newcastle looked good, but he didn't get his rewards. We'd always say, you've worked hard, you've held the ball up well, but our reward at the end of that is to score a goal.
Yeah.
And he didn't get that. So part of him's probably thinking, well, I played well, but I still want that goal. So he's another one against Olympiacos. He'll be desperate to play.
Yeah, but the thing is with Gyökeres, obviously Havertz is injured, isn't he? So, and I know Merino's played there. Was it against Port Vale? Yeah. So there's that option, but I just don't know if Mikel Arteta would do that. I think Gyökeres might start the game. So I think, my guaranteed starters then, I can't wait for this to be wrong. My guaranteed starters, I'm going for Saka, Gyökeres. I'm going to go for David Raya. That's a pretty safe one, isn't it?
Yeah, I don't know.
And Gabriel. They're my guaranteed starters.
What about Max Dowman? Do you think he'll get a little...
I think he'll be on the bench.
I'd love to see him play. I mean, he is a special talent, Clive, no?
Yeah, he is, I'm afraid. He's,
well,
it's quite... I've not seen anything like this before. Let's be honest, right? He's 15 years of age, right? And he is just he's just so smart. Against Port Vale, remember that clip round the corner?
Yeah.
I mean, that's exactly what that game required. And he's worked it out in 2 minutes on the pitch, and it's like, he's very intelligent, looks after it properly. We see him up close with the first team group. I went to watch training recently, and I didn't even notice him because he looked like one of them.
Yeah.
And he's 15, the ball's coming to his feet, he looks exactly like everybody else, the same rhythm, the same speed, the same intelligence. I'm looking around, everyone goes, "So what was Dowman like, Clive?" I'm thinking, I forgot, because he was just there, He looks like a proper first-team player. They just have to nurture him and wait. But the best days are ahead with him. I know he's a fantastic player.
I almost feel like, as well as an Arsenal fan, I haven't had the chance to really fully appreciate Wanyeri yet.
I was just about to say. Yeah.
Because he's coming. I mean, we had Lewis Skelly, obviously, I'm a big fan of his fullback, England international already. Then obviously Wanyeri, but I almost feel like I haven't had the chance to really fully appreciate Wanyeri yet because Dowman's come up. Obviously, he plays on the right as well, Saka's position, but Dowman's got all the headlines. Even though he hasn't played much, everyone is just so excited to see what this kid can do.
The Haaland conveyor belt is just ridiculous, isn't it? I mean, the talent factory there is unreal. You can go further back, can't you? You know, the likes of Saka. It may not necessarily have worked out for Eddie Nketiah at Arsenal, but he's still doing us favours, it would seem, you know, by scoring in the 97th minute or something against Liverpool. But, you know, the conveyor belt of talent that's come through that academy is brilliant. And now Max Dowman, mate, like, I think I did the preview show with Clive. We weren't together. Clive was remote, but we were talking about pre-season, and you know, Dowman had a great pre-season, didn't he? He won a couple of penalties in pre-season, and we were excited then. It's cooled off a little bit because we haven't seen him as much because it's the Premier League, etc., etc. But I just think he's a special player and a special talent, and nurture is the right word. We need to try to temper our excitement a little bit, but equally have that little bit of excitement in your pocket ready to go, because you know this is a player he's gonna be the next Bukayo Saka. That's what I think.
Do you think it might benefit? And I think it's quite important that Arsenal, if they can get their Champions League qualification done early, like win the games, get the necessary amount of points to get through to the knockout stages, then you might see the likes of Wanyeri, Dowman, get more minutes in the tank. So I don't want to see Arsenal go the whole kind of group phase campaign and then it only comes to the last couple, we're scrambling to get through. Yeah. If Arsenal can get it done early, then he can rotate the squad. You will see the likes of Dowman and Wanyeri get more minutes. Yeah,
I think Ethan is developing. He's slightly different. His physical development is different. And I think against Port Vale, I thought he was really, really good. And he dropped away in the second half a little bit because he's not playing all the time, right? So the energy levels weren't there. So that game in his tank will be really useful. So I'm hoping he gets another go this week. But we're developing Ethan a little bit more off the ball as well as on the ball. Yeah. We all know he can bang it and shoot and beat people and score. But in that position, he needs to be able to work off the ball better defensively and lead presses. So you can see him working harder off the ball, which is, I think, so important for his development. Most clubs would loan that player out. They'd say, go and learn the off-the-ball game somewhere else. We've kept him here and we're doing it in the first team. And I think that's admirable. We just have to be patient as watching fans to know that what we're doing and wait for him to get there as well. And when he does and starts scoring, we won't miss it. You know, he's a good player.
It depends where we're at in the cups as well. Let's be honest. We all want a cup run this season because one of the areas that Mikel Arteta has struggled in, other than when he won the FA Cup in his very first half of season, is the domestic cup competitions. If we go deep in both of those, then we will see more opportunity for the likes of the players just mentioned.
Absolutely. All right, well, after the Olympiacos, we have got West Ham, the next Premier League game at home. Now, Liverpool are away at Chelsea. So there's a chance for Arsenal to go top. It might be brief, but still, does that put even more pressure, do you think, Clive, on the West Ham game?
Well, the West Ham game's got its own pressure anyway because they keep beating us at home.
How? I don't know.
Honestly, it's just unbelievable. And they are very confident they come to the Emirates. And just in time, Nuno's popped in and he's got them working hard. He's got their much more physicality in their team straight away, make them competitive in one game. Yeah. He's done that. So they're going to come at the weekend feeling confident because of recent results and they're going to compete. So I think it's massively important that we follow up Newcastle. We can't drop points there and have 2 weeks to talk about it over the international break. Right? So I fear for you, Darren. So we need to get those points. So I think it's a huge game and let's just get it done so we can look ahead.
What do you think of injuries? Obviously, injuries aside, we don't want to see anyone get injured against Olympiacos. What team are you thinking against West Ham? The same that started against Newcastle?
Yeah, I would say so. It depends on where Martin Ødegaard is. I guess that's the question. The questions are Martin Ødegaard, probably Saliba in for Mascara, because Saliba was on the bench when he for Newcastle. So Saliba in for Mascara, Ødegaard or Eze in the 10, and then the left-hand side gets dictated by what happens in the 10, if you know what I mean. Yeah. Like, because then Eze might shift to the left. If it's not Eze, I'd like to see maybe Martinelli given a go there.
Do you know what's funny? Is when you spoke about West Ham last season, you're right, it's games like this where too many draws last season for Arsenal or getting beat by West Ham. But the fact now we've got Gyökeres, I don't worry as much because I think those games, you need a natural centre forward that's going to sniff out a chance. Yeah. And where the keeper might parry one or it just drops and he's there and he puts it in the net. So going into this West Ham game, last season I might have been like, I think we'll win, but I couldn't tell who's going to score. I almost feel like, I know Gyökeres hasn't been brought in specifically for these types of games, but I think this is where Arsenal will benefit from having a natural centre forward playing there.
I totally agree with you. And I think the Leeds and Forest games were really instructive in that. I thought he looked really good in those games. I think other games he has struggled, but I think we have struggled to create chances for him. You know, so he had 0 shots in the City and Liverpool games, but again at the weekend he's starting to look better. And I do think because he rested against Port Vale, he looked fresher for the battle. And I think I am one of the Havertz fans. And if they were playing together, they'd both be fresh. And that power we'd have in that position for the entirety of the game would really cause defensive problems. So you've convinced me on Gyökeres, even in this show, that he should play both games. So I think you're right. The mentality is important for him to keep going and to keep getting shots and keep getting goals if he can. Then he has a 2-week break. He's thinking, right, I'm an Arsenal player now. I haven't just joined the club, I've joined the team. Because I felt it's really important for him to be on the pitch at Newcastle in the final seconds, celebrating. I think it's really important for him to be part of a big win. You know, you feel part of it then, didn't you? So I'm with you, Darren. You've turned me around. He should play both games.
Well, he's definitely one of those strikers, if you look throughout his career, when he scores goals, he scores them in bulk. Do you know what I mean? So he goes on runs. So I'd like to think, I think he'll play against Olympiacos. I'd love to see him score. But how important do you think the Nick home form's going to be? Because again, we saw last season, too many of these little West Ham type performances. How important do you think it's going to be?
Well, you know what the saying is, isn't it? It's like you've got to win all your home games, is what people say. It's hugely important. And the good news is the supporters do their job at the Emirates. You know, the atmosphere there most of the time is pretty good now. I think at home, the last few seasons, other than the few blips that we've had, that's what we need to eliminate. Other than those few blips that you mentioned there, we've looked really good. We just need to eliminate those blips because they go back. You know, I remember losing to Southampton, I think, one year. Do you remember that?
Was that the Ramsdale one?
It was...
Where
Ramsdale... I think it's a 2-2, wasn't it?
2-0 down.
Well, it felt like a
best game I'd ever seen Theo play, by the way. It's incredible.
You know,
for Southampton.
We lost to West Ham, as you guys mentioned. You know, there's been a few others. Maybe we lost to Brighton in a run-in somewhere as well. So, you know, we need to eliminate those mistakes. And I think this Arsenal side with... You know, this iteration of Arsenal under this coach, I just don't think we're going to see those same mistakes that we've seen previously.
Of course. All right, well, listen, Olympiacos, I'm going to need a prediction from you both. Ooh. So I'm going to start with you, Clive.
Well...
Oracle. That is your nickname,
no, is it?
Yeah.
It is now. Mate, I'll take a 1-0. 1-0 and no injuries. I just want to keep accumulating points this period at the time. I think Sunday's massive against West Ham. But yeah, just keep accumulating the points so you can make decisions, as you said earlier, around rotation. So I take a by 1 goal win. That's what I take.
I mean, I think we'll beat them by more than that. You know, I don't think they're a great side. I think I'm going to go for at least 2-0. You know, I haven't gone massive.
Boring, wasn't it?
But did Aaron Ramsdale score an absolute banger against Olympiacos back in the day? Was that Olympiacos?
I can't remember. I mean, if you've got that right, that is incredible.
I'm sure. Cut it out if it's wrong.
Oh, Aaron Ramsey.
Aaron Ramsey, sorry.
I think it's Galatasaray.
Yeah, we can lose that anyway. It's all good.
So what you going for?
I'm going to go for 2-0.
Right, I'm going to go for 3-1.
3-1, okay,
yeah,
so 2 goals. And Gyökeres getting on the score sheet?
I'm going to go, you know what? I'm going to go Gyökeres 2.
Ooh,
that's more hope than anything.
It is.
I like that.
All right, well, listen, that's all we've got time for on today's Inside Gooners. Thanks for your company and thanks to Clive and Nick, and we'll see you next time.